Hello, I'm Dr. Mystic, and yesterday I was at the Pastors Alliance, Ministerial Alliance meeting, and they had Steve, who's over, he's the administrator of Cleveland ISD. Kind of funny. I thought preachers are bad, but it's like, oh, he's got to go to a meeting, let's let him speak to us just for a few moments. We usually just meet together for an hour, and somebody's a special presenter, usually speaks for like 30 minutes. Mr. Steve went on for almost entire hour. He was supposed to speed off to a meeting. So he was talking about some of the problems and challenges that Cleveland ISD faces. And, you know, you always need to put your best foot forward. And when challenges or adversity or difficulties come against you or come upon you, or you're confronted with these things, you have to stand up and exude confidence and strength, and that I have this situation under control. The other day, I was getting we're having special services at church. It's the Feast of Tabernacles, and so we have people coming that need refreshments. So I need people in the pew, and to accommodate them, I have to have refreshments for them, which is fine. It's like we're having this event, and you go get refreshments. So I go to Dollar General and pick up some things. And the young lady's there, and I've seen her before, and I was trying to be polite and make conversation, and made some comments about her hair. And it turns out this young woman is a high school student, and it's her after-school job. And I was talking to her about how Colony Ridge, Trans-Houston affects her as a high school student. And she's going, it's like, I wish they would open a school over there for them. Because what's it like walking around the hallways? It's really crowded. And then she mentioned that they had a few deaths of students who are overdosing from fentanyl. So in Colony Ridge, we have, there's reports of young people, teenagers, they're little boys and girls, their bodies ridden with bullets. And so now we have a drug problem, which isn't a surprise since there's a lot of cartel activity in Colony Ridge. So we have a blood problem, we have a drug problem in Cleveland ISD, and Mr. Steve mentions he seemed to be making light of it in a sense, talking about, having to administer certain medications to save students' lives, and people were having overdosed from fentanyl. Like I said, I understand showing that you have control, and this young woman was saying that he's, in the perception of students, this guy's losing it. He's losing it. He's really upset. He's beside himself. But when he comes to the pastor's briefing, or alliance meeting, he seems to be confident in control of everything. That's wrong and good, but when students are dying, when their lives are at risk, that's something you should take very seriously. And I think that there is cause to show alarm and concern, and not be flippant about something like this. So when it all comes down to it, it's about this. It's in English and Spanish. Paying for Colony Ridge building schools for the foreign nationals and the illegal aliens that Trey Harris and Jay Knight and Ernest Bales have moved in our community. So one of the pastors at the end, he knew that I had done the border mission. He's asking if I was going back. I said, well, no, I don't foresee me going back to the border anytime soon. Not to the valley anyway. So he goes, I looked at this. It's like, yeah, we have a big border issue. Everybody that people walk across the border, every one of them paid $10,000 to the Mexican drug cartel. Every woman is raped. Pretty much at this point, every single woman. I mean, the Mexican drug cartels are making trillions of dollars, and these school administrators are making a lot of money too. And this is every other year, on off years, another bond election. Cleveland ISD bond election. It's got a hammer on it. November 2023, $125 million. Every other year we have one of these. I believe that we need to change a law in Texas where mayoral races and school bond elections can only be on regularly scheduled elections, right? They spring this on you when people aren't engaged with the vote. And then they try to guilt trip you. Oh, what about the kids? You know, we have them in portable buildings. You know, we're overwhelmed. And Mr. Steve had to mention they're building the executive suite, the fine, nice building for him in his office. Well, he goes, well, we're obligated. I know that we don't have enough room for our students, and we're building a nice executive estate and lounge for the school administrators. It's not I guess I'm obligated to build the executive suite for us. It's in the contract. I mean, I didn't know. I have to have a large, spacious office. You know, it's not my fault. I'll be building a Taj Mahal as an executive. It's like we're a small rural community, a struggling town, and they're putting the burden of debt on us. Hundreds of millions of dollars we have to pay. You know, a few years ago, it's been quite a few years ago, this issue came up. The Supreme Court says, this is crazy, right? Foreign nationals have the right to an American education paid for by the taxpayers. Now, how do you do that? Well, it's just a burden, an unfunded liability put on us. And Mr. Steve goes, this growth is a good thing. And I talked to the pastor about it at the end. I said, we got this huge hub of human trafficking, illegal immigration, and we have to pay for it. They have to live off. These people came here, and what they're doing, they come here to live off the largesse of the American taxpayer. Mr. Steve says some things kind of offended me too. It's like, the Texas legislature, they're trying to deny us our funds from property taxes. It's like he's entitled to this money. It's like it belongs to him. Oh, they're going to find some funding for schools from other. They're stealing money from us by reducing. It's like, that's not your money. It's a struggle for me to pay these exorbitant property taxes. And he acts like that's his money. And it's not going to our kids. It's going to the kids of people who broke the law. I remember when I was in high school, we had this immigration problem for a long time. And I was in high school, and there were some kids who were immigrants, and I think they were from Vietnam. And he's in high school, it's like, it's just, I guess he thought I was more intelligent than the other students. He's striking up a conversation. And he goes, I'm actually 25 years old, I said I was 14. And the same thing happened. I think we had illegal immigrants up in Virginia raping minors. And it turns out they were in their mid-20s, and they claimed to be in their teenagers. This is all to help the Democrat Party, and it's part of this plan to flip Texas blue. Now, the Biden administration, Obama administration actually, they're finally building a wall down in Stark County. I was on the border for 3 years, and they really need it. It's only 20 miles, but that area. I remember I was in McAllen and La Jolla. They started under Trump. They started building a border wall, and it was in the McAllen area. La Jolla's like, hey, why are you building a border wall over there? We want one here. It's hard for these communities. It's the same thing like here. We have this rural communities here in Liberty County and San Jacinto County, and Ernest Bales is going to get rich off of us. And he goes around, he boasts to all of his friends in the teachers unions and teachers associations about how he's going to build all these schools for them, all these nice buildings, and bringing in money through supporting Colony Ridge. We need to be merciful, compassionate, and loving, but we also need to hold people accountable. I was looking at something, I'll close with this. I was looking at something from the Texas scorecard, and I really like the Texas scorecard. And they have this new terminology. It's called the educrats. The educrats. And these educrats, Eisenhower's like, I want to warn you about the military-industrial complex. But what about the educational-industrial complex? When I was in college, I earned a doctorate. I really see the value of education. And when I went to school, of course, I have Christian morals and values, and I didn't go to these things that don't appeal to me. I didn't go to college to party or, sleep around. Like some of these varieties, I was kind of shocked. I went there to develop my mind. And, when you're in college, you start to engage with certain students, and it's like, these people, I'm not saying they're bad people, they're just not college material. But a lot of people feel like they're obligated to go to college. And I know this friend of mine, and it could have happened to me too, but I was able to work it off. Because I got school loans for my doctorate. And, she's ruined by school loans. She thought she's being responsible and go out and earn a degree. And the burden of being tens of thousands of dollars in debt, it's a heavy burden. And I don't know. She's like, it's a friend of mine, but it's like, did she really benefit in any meaningful way from that degree? Like I said, I'll support our teachers, I'll support our schools. But what do you do when this educational establishment is hostile to America, to our ideals as a country, to our Constitution, to freedom? And they're indoctrinating our children into far left extremism, critical race theory, all these ideas. And I saw it's really sad. It's talking about there's Greg Gutfeld, and he's talking about all these liberals who are pro-crime, anti-police liberals who are getting killed by criminals. It's like, well, you supported these policies of crime and lawlessness, and then you're a victim of crime, and the man's killed. I said, where do these crazed ideas come from? From these academics, and it's destructive. And we need to, like I said, I see the value of education, but our educational establishment right now is corrupted and desperately needs reform. And this is a means of control, a means of, money. Let's build all these schools. If we don't have enough students, we'll bring them from other countries and we'll build these schools, so we can make money. It's a big financial thing. And it's not right. It's not right. Especially the audacity. He thinks he's entitled. I have to slave away to come up with a little bit of money just to, barely make ends meet, and then they take it all away from me to give to these teachers unions so they can build a new school for foreign nationals. Tax me off my land to build a school for this Mr. Steve. It's like a maggot. It's like a big tick, sucking the blood out of you. And he brings death and disease to our whole society. Look at all the problems in our country. Indoctrinating our children into leftism is working in our public schools. Look at these schools. I was talking to local pastors. It's like half the kids are leaving the church, going into alternative lifestyles. Where are they learning that from? A lot of it comes from educational establishment and these wicked, evil ideas. That's probably the reason why I earned the doctorate, so we can, we need to have academic credentials too, so we can confront these people, so we can save education from them. But this is horrible. The Cleveland ISD Board of Trustees has called a $125 million bond election. They'll appear before voters in the November 7th ballot. In an off year. The funds will be allocated amongst 5 major projects that will help accommodate district growth, improve safety measures, and enhance the student experience at Cleveland ISD. A new middle school, a new CTE building. Convert Cleveland Middle School. Southside and Douglas improvements. I'm not denying. I mean, we're overwhelmed and we're obligated, and then there's this dishonest thing here. It shows 119% projected student enrollment growth over 10 years, but it's a lot higher than they're showing here. So this little chart diagrams graph they have here is inaccurate. It's much the growth is a lot bigger. It's projected to go from 75,000 to 250.25 million, and then we have to foot the bill. They break the law, we foot the bill, and these people, Mr. Steve, laughs his way all the way to the bank, hand in hand with Trey Harris and Ernest Bells. But we have an election next year, and maybe we can change things around. Stop Colony Ridge, hold these people accountable, and voice our concerns and have representation in our government, but our needs instead of the needs of wealthy and corrupt, wicked people. Our nation, we're in decline. This is a symptom of societal collapse, right? With this massive immigration, we are seeing societal collapse. And Trey Harris and Ernest Bales, and this is societal collapse. We can't afford this. I mean, I can't afford it. And these guys don't, I guess Mr. Steve probably didn't work a, real job ever in his life. Doesn't know what it's like. The challenge is just working in education. Doesn't want to know what it's like to actually have to have like me fighting for the country or other things, just trying to make a living. So what's going on is the border's wide open. Millions are coming across. It's collapsing in New York City, now Chicago. They can't take it. It's causing it. You're probably looking at, we're having 250,000 illegal aliens cross our border a month. We probably have 12 to 15 million illegal aliens since Joe Biden took over. And Mr. Steve is inviting them to come to our community. He stood up in front of us and said, this is a good thing. Well, at least we're not a declining community. We're growing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. We're growing. Woo! And I get another school bond. Woohoo! More money for me. And, the people who've lived here for generations are leaving, can't afford this. It's not even safe anymore. Think about it, 15 million. That's several times the population of Houston. And there's probably going to be, before this next year's over, probably have another 10 million people come across. You go to El Paso, there's, just people laying around the streets in New York City. Like I said, the cartels, every single illegal alien, man and woman, pays $10,000 to the cartel to come across the border. They're making trillions of dollars off of this. Every woman, you can guarantee, every woman is going to get raped. And they're willing, just for the promise of coming to this country and living off the largesse of the American taxpayer, they're willing to pay that. They're willing to endure that. Free medicine, free health care, free education, free. Free! For them. I guess free for Mr. Steve, but not free for us. More debt. New York City, we can't stand anymore. This Mayor Adams in New York City, he goes down. He's an idiot. Goes down to South America. Oh, please stop sending. We don't want any more. We're at capacity. We can't handle it anymore. He only has like 100,000. Chicago's like, oh, we can't take this anymore. And now they're so desperate. They created this problem. I was in the border mission for 3 years. We closed the border. We secured it. All you have to do is remain in Mexico. It's like, we're going to adjudicate your fraudulent asylum claim. Can you prove in court here that you have a valid asylum claim? Are you really a refugee? No, can't. They don't want to go to court. And with catch and release under Obama, now Biden, they don't have to. Trump ended catch and release, the so-called Flores Agreement, and he negotiated remain in Mexico. We need to designate, you know what Mexico is? I hate to say this, but it's true. It's a narco-terrorist state. And the cartels are narco-terrorist organizations. They control Mexico. The president of Mexico is beholden to them. The state of Texas and the United States of America needs to declare the cartels terrorist organizations, which would give us the ability to go in there and take care of them as we need to. I mean, these people are 100,000 American kids dying every year from, now what's in our community? Dozens of, how many kids died? I think it was like 7. And of course, some of them got immediate medical attention, so it could have been a lot more. In our community, dying from fentanyl, thanks to Trey Harris, Ernest Bales, and Jay Knight. Don't give a damn. Don't give a damn about you. Laughing at you all the way to the bank. And I believe if we don't turn things around, eventually Ernest Bales is going to pick up and take off too. Sayonara, suckers. It's inevitable. Take all his money with him that he gained from being a state rep, all the graft and corruption. So this is unsustainable. Colony Ridge is unsustainable, and we don't care. Mr. Steve does not care. Cleveland ISD does not care. They want more. I mean, he went up and said it. All these pastors, thank God for Mr. Steve. Let's just reach out our hands and pray for Mr. Steve. He's going to bring in more illegal aliens. He got, it's not that bad. It's just $200 a month. And he's talking about, Americans have 2.5%, 2.5 kids, and sometimes less, sometimes 1.725 or whatever. But with his communities, it's different. You got one household, and you got different people living in there. They have they're all Hispanic names. They have all kinds of different names. I've seen it. I love Hispanic culture. I'm not knocking Hispanic people at all. Maybe it's just a symptom of poverty. She had this woman, she's got 5 kids by 3 different men. One's down the street, the other's still living with her. That's what's going on. Fraud, corruption, deceit. Like this guy that, I'm sorry it happened, it's horrible. This cartel member just a mile or so from here, killing women and children. And they said, he was just doing recreational shooting and got mad. It's like, really? I think something more is going on. Just don't, criminality. And here's the thing, I have to obey the law. The law needs to be enforced. The statement used to be equal justice under law. Ernest Bales needs to be held accountable to law. Trey Harris needs to be accountable to law. All these inhabitants of this region need to be held to law. The people who are exploiting them, the cartel activity over there needs to be shut down. These excuses. It's like, it said that you're not enforcing law in Colony Ridge. It's just too vast an area. We just won't have the resources. All right. Do we need to call the National Guard in there? We can do that. Do we need to get do we need help from the state? Do we need to get the Texas Rangers in there and the National Guard? I think so. And running for state legislature, if I get in there, that's what's going to happen. So they always want to shut you down by expressing these concerns, but these are things that need to be taken very seriously. So it's time to hold people accountable. It's time for answers. It's time for action to enforce the law. Like I said, this open border stuff and the effects it's causing societal collapse. We can't afford it. We have hyperinflation, excessive taxation. Their tax base is going to have to just leave because you can't afford it. We can't afford Colony Ridge. So now's the time to stand up for these against these people. Now's the time to have courage and intestinal fortitude and say no more. So thank you and God bless you.